You can just look at straight ahead because that's the camera and that's what's filming us. We don't have side cameras here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you could tell you've been on press a lot. Look, 2, 1. Bag. Nina's Bag is a podcast that I started to create a safe space to have conversations about a multitude of topics. And today I'm so blessed and happy to have as my special guest Commissioner Damia Harris Madden. I'm always messing that up. Sorry about that. Damia Harris Madden, the Commissioner of New York State, OCFS. And for those that don't know, OCFS is Office for Children and Family Services. My beautiful co-host on the end, Melissa Fisher.
Hi everybody, I'm Melissa. I'm the author of Where Pain Meets Power, and I'm happy to be sitting here and co-hosting with Nina on Nina's Bag. Educate, elevate, and
advocate, educate, elevate. That's right. That's what we do. Thank you, Melissa.
Yep.
She's beautiful, and she's a great author. If you don't have her book, go grab it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So there are a couple of things that I wanted to go over, but I want to save them till the end. Damia Harris Madden. Dr. Damia. Let me just put things in order here. Dr. Damia. She is a definite shero for a lot of us. I'm just so happy that she actually made the time because I know how busy you are, right or wrong.
Lady.
Super busy, but you're doing so many good things, and I'm so proud of you. So very, very proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So can we tell them a little bit about you? Can we just tell our viewers a little bit about who's Damia, Dr. Damia Harris Madden? Sorry, that was dumb. Dumb.
That was going to be my question. Before the title, before the rank, who were you before this journey started?
Sure. So it's interesting you say that. Last night I was a guest speaker, and I like to depart from the norm when I'm delivering messages. I want to relate to people, but also I'm much of a griot in that, I like to tell stories at times. And so, who am I? I started to talk to an audience of about 300 people celebrating after school.
Wow.
And I talked about a young lady named Maya. Who was a latchkey kid who, was somewhat sedentary in terms of her lifestyle, a little chubby, didn't really get out much, wasn't physically active, but came home to an empty apartment while, of course, parents were working. And while Maya had several siblings, Maya's siblings did not live with her. They were half siblings. Maya did little chores around the house, including like washing her socks and putting them in the oven to quickly dry because Maya didn't have no wash machine.
This is so
Maya didn't have
sincere.
a
I
dryer.
love it.
But Maya was home, right? After
Right.
school, she was home and she had to take care of herself. Maya learned how to cook. Maya put glitter in her hair. Maya loved to do her hair and put rhinestones and do all kind of creative things.
Maya sounds
right?
amazing.
Maya loved shoes, so Maya made sure her shoes were always tight.
You're a shoe fetish now. You got a serious.
See, well, now you're telling who Maya
Sorry.
is, right? Now she done spoiled it
I'm
for us.
sorry.
So since she said it already, I am Maya, right? But really, the story was
I love
about
that.
a young
Sorry.
lady, myself, who, grew up. Mom worked really, really hard. I worked, did not come from much means in terms of financial stability and things of that nature. Have lots of lived experience in the spaces that I now
Relatability.
get to actually have oversight of and lead. But, always knew I was going somewhere, but just didn't know where. I knew that I was smart. I knew that I was kind. I knew that I was a hard worker because my mother instilled that in me. However, when you live in communities where you come from low economic status, you are a young person of color, you have a number of impediments, some family dysfunction maybe,
It's irregular.
you have to be reminded and poured into and show love and light. And that's what was provided to me.
That's beautiful.
So that's where we start.
That's
right?
beautiful.
And where we end.
Kudos to your mom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
That's my Shiro, and I'm truly her child.
I
What
relate
was
to
your
her.
mom's name? Is she?
My mom's name is Ruby, and we both walk on both sides of the street. And if you know what you know what I mean by that, right? So I'm Dr. Damia today, but I'm also a short walk away from being Maya again, right?
Yes.
So the point here is that I kind of raised myself. When I think about it, I did have the support of, my family, and I appreciate that. But, it's something about having that grit and that resilience that keeps you pushing, because you could easily become someone else. Your trajectory could easily change. And that's why people like Nina and myself, when we met as colleagues,
Right.
but why we're so passionate about the work with young people and with families, because we know that all it takes is a little inspiration, a little love,
That's right.
some support. And these young people, these children, our babies, our most precious asset, can go wherever they dream to go.
Future.
And so, to instill certain things in them is really very important. Also prepare them for economic self-sufficiency, which Maya's of the world maybe didn't have, Nina's in the world didn't have.
But that relatability is what gave us the platform to try to build the next up.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
so your relatability is one of the things that I am so proud of. You know what I mean? I'm so proud. My mother used to say, "There, but by the grace of God go I." You know what that means? If you don't know what it means it could be me. I talk to everybody. My son used to say, "Mom, you don't have to talk to everybody." And I said, I would tell him what my mother said, "There, but by the grace of God go I." She said, "You can learn from a bum on the street. You never, ever know." And kids taught me. Kids are the most...
Innocent.
Yeah. You can relate to that, Melissa, because you are like the best grandma in America. You are.
I love being around my grandkids.
Yeah.
More than adults half the time.
Yeah.
They don't complain. They're happy. They're excited. They always want to play, be outside.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
happiness that comes
Yes.
off of them. They don't see the
But it's what
world
you're giving
like-
them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't have any hate inside of them. Nothing.
Absolutely, right? When you see the babies, they are not corrupted, right, by
Thanks, Sam.
society.
Yep.
They are smiling and they want to come to you. It doesn't matter which color you are, right?
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how big you are, how tall you are. They just have this natural instinct.
Especially if you have that gift of projecting a loving person. You know what I mean? Like like I could meet somebody. Isaiah is a perfect example. My engineer. When I met him, a couple weeks later, I was like, "Zay, I love you." When I dropped him off, and he was like, because people don't do that mushy like that. You know what I mean? I'm very compassionate, especially to people that have had struggles, which we're gonna have him on. His story is amazing. For him to sit and smile the way he does, amazing.
Beautiful.
But that's what the world needs more of.
Yeah.
Hugs. And people treat it like it's abnormal. Don't say I love you. Don't hug. Don't touch. Don't do anything. And that's why I love being around my grandkids.
Of course.
The happiness that comes off of them. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
They stress me, but
Well, you know what?
That's
It's
their
something
job,
also
too.
about women, right? Because when you talk about instincts and naturally we arrive with certain elements. It's kind of like the what's the movie Taken, when the guy goes, I have a special set of skills. It's like women, we have a special set of skills.
Superpowers.
We have these superpowers, these instincts, and this, inherent way of taking care. Wanting to
Definitely.
take
Yes.
care. Now there's some outliers, of course.
It's funny.
There's always
It's
gonna be some
instinctive.
exceptions.
It's almost instinctive in most women. You know what I mean? But I want to keep the focus on Maya. I want to
Okay.
keep the focus on Maya.
Sure.
I love that story. That's a great story.
yeah, I like how
And
you
I'm so sorry I
introduced-
messed it up. When you said the shoe thing, I said, she sounds like Damien.
Well, the audience didn't know me, so I said, I'm gonna go off script a little bit because I can talk about the partnerships and the power of after school and the
Right.
importance of positive youth development, but I want to just talk a little bit about what that really means in real time, and the realities that many of our children face, and as we get into the conversation about childcare, because we are focused on a path to universality, and I'm
I was
very
just
privileged to work with
yes.
Governor Hochul on this.
She's doing it. I'm loving her.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
serious. And I'm a too honest person, unfortunately. But I think that what you guys are doing, like when I sit and watch the news and I'm like, I like Governor Hochul. And when I talk to you, I'm always telling you, your leadership is amazing because you have a great leader as well. You know, it's amazing to have somebody that cares about childcare. What concept, right? Like,
You
is
would
it?
think. Well, again, it goes back to that woman part, right? So, like, women leaders are doing it all. And Governor Hochul is the first female mom, the first female grandma for New York State. And so she keenly understands what is at stake when a woman is not able
She
to
does.
enter the workplace or return to the workplace because she must choose her
All
family.
those things that it's funny because I told you to keep your mic close and look at me. I'm so glad that you're talking about the common sense things, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they get overlooked. There was a time where we couldn't even talk about those things.
Sure.
There was a time where it was like, well, you're not, if you can't do the job, you know what I mean? The compassion, because women, I'm so sorry, I believe women are super women. We I don't know one woman that handles one thing. I just don't. We carry a lot, and to have a governor that actually projects that, and then to have you, Damien, who like your relatability is sick. Your relatability to the whole process of being a child that comes from underserved populations, me as well. You know what I mean? To have that relatability, it's easy to help a child that's underserved because you've experienced it, And I love that you gave that story in front of 300 plus people. I think that's powerful.
Well, thank you because you know what? For me, I have to be my authentic self. And while
Love
I
that.
am strategic, of course, in terms of what I share and do not share, I do feel that people need to know that individuals like myself are in positions to make change. And much of it is because of their worldview, right? Their lived experiences. And it's not to say that you've had to have had the most horrible road, right, to work in a system like I
Right.
do. Because remember, I serve twinkle to wrinkle. And
Right.
so that is everything under the sun. Oversight.
Inclusive.
Yeah, well, it's oversight of local departments of social services,
Yeah,
which
you're
includes
a
foster
baddie.
care, domestic
I don't know
violence,
how.
elder care, right? To our juvenile justice system. I have 9 facilities that, I'm responsible for all those young people who are, completing time in a rehabilitative setting for crimes that have been committed. To, the Commission for the Blind, which we're dealing with blind New Yorkers. So
Wow.
my,
It's deeper than
department
we
is
know.
huge. It is beyond huge, actually, and it's
Wow.
a true blessing because then I'm able to really like apply the lens of just being an ordinary citizen to so many different areas, and there's so many through lines there. So it's
Wow.
quite the privilege, and I'm honored that the governor has chosen me. It's a huge responsibility,
choice.
but I'm really proud and honored to work with a servant leader that gets things done. So that's the other part.
And
It's
she
really
gets it.
hard to work with individuals who don't
Talk about it, but don't be about
that,
it.
that
Yes.
part, that part.
Yes, yes, yes.
So-
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's
Melissa.
the hardest part of your role that no one prepared you for that you do?
I've always been a turnaround agent. Nina can tell you this from the time I survived 4 mayors in the city of Mount Vernon. And, I also moved into county government, who I worked for an amazing, who's now congressman, county executive. And again,
He is
it
amazing.
was really jumping in and turning things around quickly like a speedboat.
But
What
he
I-
supported I saw him at an event and I said, you know what, I want to thank you because you were so supportive of Dr. Damien. He was like, well, she knows what she's doing. He said, I follow her. That's what he said. I was like, okay.
Yeah, yes, thank you. He's
Yeah.
amazing. But I was saying all that to say what I was not prepared for was not to be able to jump into a speedboat and turn things around quickly. And so, yes, I have a doctorate, but I also have a master's of business administration, a master's of science, also undergraduate degree. So for me, I'm more of the financial individual, more of an operational individual. And so when I come in and I examine and assess an organization for its effectiveness, it's triaging and then taking action. But in OCFS, because it is so magnanimous, it is very
Ginormous.
challenging with 4,000 employees, $7 billion to manage. But also, what comes along with that are not just the employees and the money, but also the advocates and the critics.
See,
and
that's the part that I love.
piece and the differences across the state, right? So
Her
like,
etiquette was always on top. She was always on top of things. Me, on the other hand, I would be like, blah. And she, but it kind of balanced itself out. But
yeah.
I think that it's powerful that you talk about the undertaking. That's a huge,
yeah.
like it's ginormous. Like, well,
I'm always up for a challenge, right? Which is why I said yes to the dress. But to, pointedly answer your question, I thought I was going to be able to come in and make sweeping changes really quickly. And I learned very soon that that's just not possible. It is too big. We have to take into consideration the entire state. So when I'm traveling from Buffalo down to Long Island and meeting people where they are and understanding their needs and what's important to them, it's a very dichotomous state. And so to make sure that you are keeping your finger on the pulse of everyone across New York State is extremely challenging, but
has to be.
it's also very rewarding, especially when you're talking about some of the aims of this governor and this administration. And I do believe my steps were ordered to be here.
Definitely.
It is, I always say what's meant to be for me is for me. And what's meant for you, Melissa, is meant for you. And so I have to have faith that I was ordered here for a reason. So I was very happy where I was. Nina could tell you I had lots of support.
It was so funny when I was like, "Are you crazy?"
And everybody thought I was crazy, but I was like, you know what? I believe in the principle that's there. The governor at the time, I understood a big part of what she was trying to accomplish, and I just wanted to be a part of it. The other thing I didn't say was, the child welfare system. I did not come up in social services, as I said, more of a business kind of background. I left corporate and came into government, but, dealing with fund development, lots of grants, then becoming an evaluator. I was more on the operations side. Also had a creative lens, but mostly from that compliance and all of those types of things. But now that I'm in this seat, it's an incredible opportunity to help and support families. Because when you start to look at the history behind child welfare and the trauma that exists, and our opportunity is now, while we have a leader like Governor Hochul, who is open to opening up the policies and the regs to see what we can do, who is open to creating systems that are more family-centered, and also acknowledging what we are now told we can't say. Diversity, equity, inclusion, to have that type of support as you look at some of the challenges within the child welfare system and the outcomes that you're seeking. You can't leave those things out.
How can we? How can we?
Right?
It's funny. We built ourselves up to be like we made sure in programming that listen, there's funding coming to you, but we want to make sure that you understand that it should be inclusive, it should be diverse, it should be equitable. And all of a sudden, like it's like going backwards, literally. So whatever, the fact that you sit in the seat that you sit in, and the fact that Governor Hochul literally looks at things realistically, you know what I mean? It gives hope.
Oh yeah,
Gives hope. But I love the fact that you said that you were given the opportunity to do this. But the thing for me with you, Damien, is that you didn't lose where you came from. You did not. That's a very important piece. People tend to, that happens. It happens. Yeah. And I think that it's very important because before you said you did the operational side, now you have the opportunity you're responsible for a lot of everything, you know what I mean? But to be able to go into communities and see that that there's a need for people that are underserved to have support with childcare. It's an amazing thing that people miss sometimes. It's hard to understand that because a mama can't go to work if she doesn't have childcare.
Yeah.
It's
Or
a
dad.
battle. I remember
hard.
women saying they were working to pay for childcare. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a true thing.
I
But
was a stay-at-home mom until my kids were able to be in school. I couldn't afford that. There's
Right.
no way.
right.
You know?
Of course.
Right. It's a battle, but I think just to look at realistic things, and to look at if it's hard for people to progress, if someone in the community is not doing well, then we all have something that we need to look at. It doesn't work that way always, but that inclusive circle is very, very important because I tend to advocate for the underdog. You know what I mean? It's just a natural thing to me. I advocate so much that I lose me. You remember?
I know.
You used to say, Nina, you're hands on. Aren't you supposed to be doing fiduciary stuff? And I said, I do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but it's so nice to have somebody like you that did not forget.
No, I could never forget. And you
It
know,
happens.
yeah, I mean, again, that's why it's also important. And what we do in OCFS is really try to integrate folks with lived experiences. And like I said, you
Beautiful.
don't have to have been through foster care to qualify as lived experience. You
That's
may be a
right.
domestic violence survivor or a child of domestic violence. You may
I'm
have
glad
had
you
a
mentioned that.
blind parent at home. You may have been subjected to a parent that had mental health challenges. I mean, there's so much that, we don't think about when we talk about lived experiences, which we actually uplift quite a bit in the Office of Children and Family Services. I
Definitely.
am so proud of many of the staff that I have grown to know and understand their background, and I do not shy away from my background as a matter of fact, in having had so many brushes with systems that now I get to oversee. But Melissa, what I wanted
Amazing.
to pivot back to, if I could, Nina,
Sure.
just for a minute,
Sure.
when you said your lived experience as a mom staying home, because childcare was unaffordable. And I just want to, comment on that because the governor, since taking office, has invested $8 billion into the system of childcare. Wow. I mean, this is incredible, and I don't think she gets enough credit for
People
it.
miss it, and that's
I think you need to say that again and a little bit louder
Yeah.
so people actually hear.
Well, listen, I've made 60 stops in like 60 days.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Yeah.
doing budget presentations
Wow.
because this year's budget, the governor invested $4.5 billion into our childcare system, and what that looks like is opening up more opportunity for parents to return to work, return to school, because now there'll be more funding passed through the local departments of social services for child care vouchers, which we call the child care assistance program.
very
right?
important.
Billions of dollars more, $3 billion more this year. So that's a 40% year over year increase that we've seen. Not only is she investing there, she's also working to expand pre-K, which really is universal child care when you think about it, right?
That's what I was.
Not every
yeah.
part of the state actually has pre-kindergarten services. I come from downstate, so I'm kind of accustomed to it, but I
Wow.
realize that the rest of the state is devoid of pre-K. And so what she's done is allocate dollars so that $10,000 or the cost of the current school foundation aid will be provided so that classrooms can open up and we can have universal 4K to come online by 28, 29.
4K.
Also, there's pilots that she's investing in, which is really exciting. So that's
Tell
another
us about
part
the
of that.
pilots.
The pilots will take place. First, New York City has a new initiative, 2Care. I should start there.
2K.
2Care, because they already had 4K and then they had 3K. So now she's investing to support the new mayor
They need
in
it.
their concept for 2Care.
Like him
and
too.
I really, really
him
like
too.
that concept, and we're going to see where that goes. $73 million for this year, and the hope is 2,000 additional children will come off of the CCAP program.
That's
and
great.
then utilize the 2Care, so that kind of frees up space in our voucher system.
So just so that people understand CCAP, because like So I love the fact that the governor is being very well rounded. There's definitely a need in the city. You know what I mean? But she, just like you, is responsible for the whole state.
Sure.
And the fact that that is taken into consideration. CCAP, can you just explain? That was my point I was trying to get to.
CCAP is the Child Care Assistance Program, and that is where income eligibility applies. But what the governor has done since taking office has raised the income eligibility. So back when we were raising children, you had to be way below the poverty level, right? Just back in 2021, a family of 4 could only make up to $60,000 roughly. Family of 4 and able to qualify. Today, Governor Hochul has made
That's
that
crazy.
we're looking at the state median income, which is a family of 4 can make up to $114,000.
That makes so much more
So
sense.
what a difference that makes. Just
What a
from that,
difference.
right?
That's
so that
right.
opens up the pool for average families who are trying to work and or go to school and have the financial support that they need,
Right.
right? And then the pilots that we're talking about, and going back to CCAP, by the way, here in the Mid-Hudson Valley region where you all sit, you know, we've seen a tremendous growth in CCAP, 193%
Wow.
growth since she's taken office here. So you had about 3,000 children in the Mid-Hudson Valley. Now about 9,000 children
I was
are
going to
being
say,
served. That's huge,
It-
right?
it is-
And that's just in your community.
that's right. That's
so,
beautiful.
I mean, we
Much
see a
needed.
huge growth in the CCAP program overarchingly throughout the state. We have about 164% growth.
So I want to just for the purpose of simplifying, if I were helping to support a family, and the mom was working 2 and 3 jobs, and the kids were having issues because, of course, the mom had to do what she had to do. Then a younger child was taking care of a sibling. Happens all the time. The fact that programming that the state is supporting exists on a higher level, that actually allows that mom to possibly have her child in childcare, as opposed to having another child not concentrate on education and things that they should. These clarifications are very, very important to everyday people, because when I actually try to help people, sometimes they're like, why do I need to do that? They don't even understand what we're saying. When we give support, we have to make sure that there's an understanding, an educational moment to say, this is what you're struggling with. We see you. We see you. We see what your needs are. We not that you're doing something wrong, because you're trying to do what you got to do. That's what we do.
Yep.
But having that child care support is so very, very important, because it helps people in more than just child care. It helps another child that might have had to take care of that child to be able to be a child.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, let's also be honest. When you're able to work and support your family, right? That's that economic self-sufficiency that we need. People need to feel like they're contributing to society.
That's
they're
right.
supporting their families, that they are meaningful and they are valued, right? And so when we as society can make options available for parents to be able to work and be able to support, and let's not leave fathers out.
That's
we can
right.
get there too, because I'm
Exactly
doing a lot
right.
of work in that space as well.
I
But
love
again,
that.
looking at your community right here in Ulster and seeing how Ulster County saw 40% increase as well. So first I talked about Mid-Hudson, but like specific to
The
your
county.
county,
And it's
you've seen 140% increase, and that means that many more children are being supported. They're in loving, nurturing environments.
as they should be.
They are receiving the foundational building blocks that every child needs and deserves, right? And so this is the difference that we're making. And I didn't even touch upon all the other aspects, right? Because the governor has also invested in capital to allow businesses to be able to expand, or new businesses to come online.
Oh, we're going
We've
to end up
had
having
in
to
the last year
do 2
over
more
800
sessions.
new folks, new people to come online in terms of providers, right? So what does that do economically?
That's definitely
It also supports
Good
our
financial literacy.
communities.
Good financial literacy. It's amazing that the institution of that you guys that the state is developing of assisting childcare, how it builds not just the support for the parent and the family, but also with businesses that are being the caretakers for these kids
Absolutely.
and these families.
Absolutely.
Pretty.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to break it down because things get missed all the time. Do you know what I mean?
All the time. I mean, when we talk about Maya, right, and the point being that this was a kid who had to come home every day. So many Mayas or Johns, whomever you want to identify with, come home to an empty house, and now they doom scroll and they're on social media all day, and that's why the governor is also taking on these businesses that are promoting these unnecessary, very harmful algorithms. These AI chatbots and all the things that affect one's mental health, their self-esteem, right? She's taking that on legislatively, by the way, to hold these social media folks accountable.
I've been seeing that.
And then the school ban, right? So like banning the cell phones. First, people were like, I don't know if we want to do that. But the data's come back to demonstrate that most people appreciate that. We didn't have phones.
Did we have phones in the classroom?
The point around after school too. So like even Luba, we're jumping around a little bit, but like even
I love
moving
the
back
after school
around,
topic.
the Maya, the Johns, the whomever, right? Like in after school settings, that's where they're able to thrive. And like I said, we didn't have the phones to doom scroll. We didn't have those things. But if we were connected to after school, just like today, programming, you keep our kids safe. You keep them engaged during unsupervised
100%
time.
correct.
Yeah, and that's important. So like, when she's invested over $100 million 2 years ago in the LEAPS programs, that was really important, right? And that's for free after school programs where children don't have to worry about, being home unsupervised. Parents can be
and
at
they
work.
were feeding them.
Oh,
these programs included food, which was so powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, LEAPS right here in your county, you have about 18 LEAPS in mid-Hudson Valley, I should say, not the county. I have data just on the region. And so that serves about 1,100 kids. That's just one after-school program. As you know, we fund many. We fund the youth bureaus for their positive youth development program. We have the sports and education programs. But all of this...
The sports program.
Sports.
Can we touch
team
that?
sports, but also sports and education. The governor actually increased funding for that last year. I was so proud. And for how long were we fighting for youth bureaus? She increased the funding
every
for
year.
Positive youth development.
PYD, that's right.
We fought for a couple decades.
But see, this
and now
is why.
She's delivered for after
and
school.
I'm no hate for men and fathers, because I know there are so many amazing parents, period, out there. But the compassion to know the need is such a very important thing to me, because things that we sat in meetings and discussed and advocated to make happen, people didn't know. Everybody doesn't know the things that the governor does. Everybody doesn't know the things that you do with your programming and with allotment of funding. It's a very, very huge task that people don't really understand. And you're breaking it down so classy and making it sound so good. But I hope that people that from underserved communities that need the support are getting the support, but they're aware of where it's coming from. Absolutely. That to me is very, very important.
I have to ask you that though. How do you lead when every decision is being judged? How do you deal with that when all of your decisions that you make, you have all of these critics out there, nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes, but they all have an opinion. How do you deal with all of that?
Melissa, thank you for asking that brilliant question. I rely on the data, really. I mean, when I think about after school, for example, and I mentioned the LEAPS programs, right? 32,000 children are served through that program.
Right.
Does it cover every single child in after school? No. But there are also other alternatives to like our LEAPS program. But if you were to just take LEAPS, which we've got in some criticism over because it was a very competitive process across New York State, we had to take into consideration obviously scores, but also geography and making sure like childcare deserts and after school deserts were being addressed, because after all, after school is childcare,
Right.
An 8-year-old should not be home taking care of themselves.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, there's going to always be criticism, and you try to hear and you listen to understand, not so much to respond. So that's what I've been trying to do. I am very clear that I have to defend my agency. I'm always going to defend my principal and the people that I work with. But I did inherit a lot and maybe not agreed with, former decisions that were made. And so now I have the opportunity to hear from key stakeholders, take their feedback. Some of them are not so kind. We read a lot in the media. Some things are just flatly untrue. But I still sit down with stakeholders, even when it's painful, just to hear them out and to try to come to some place where we can be civil, we can work collectively, because at the end of the day, advocates are advocating because they want the best for their communities, for the children, for the families, right? And I have to always respect that. And they also need an understanding of what we do, because as Nina, you said,
They don't know.
people don't know. So they just think we're just passing paperwork around, right? But it's so much more than that. And really, design thinking has to be done, meaning creating and curating opportunities for everyone, and that includes your critics, right? Because they are New Yorkers, and in this role, we have to make sure we're paying attention to as many people as we can, so that we're balanced and that we're fair.
I
and we're
love that,
equitable.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
That list, sitting down with stakeholders is so, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's so key, because I think we can learn from so many people, not just people that agree with us, but sometimes we can learn from people that don't agree with us. You know what I mean? The fact that you're a listener was very, very key.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had lots of criticism, things that I didn't even do. I'm blamed for, right?
Well,
but I
that
said
seat
yes
is
to
crazy.
the dress, right? So
That
it
seat
comes
is
part of the
crazy.
course,
Right.
And all I can do is demonstrate to people my genuine intent, which is to leave the agency better than I found it, but also to uplift the amazing work and people that are there, because often folks in government are, attacked in some ways unnecessarily, but in other ways because of the experiences that folks have had.
Because
right?
of what people have endured.
Some people have really suffered irreparable harm, let's say, from certain systems. And let's be honest, from perspective of race, for example, the disproportionality in some of these systems is real. And you
Systematic
understand.
injustices. That's what I love. Damia, you're so honest. I love the fact that you touch stuff. You know what I mean? Like, even though, because it's hard to be in the seat and not and skip over things, but you have it. You know what I mean? And I admire you for that. What would you say what would your take be, or what would your input be on I dealt with STSJP. Are they under your?
Yes.
Wow.
Let's not.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yes.
So I really like a couple years ago, Governor Hochul allotted funding for target populations, and I thought that was really, really a gift, because violence is something that occurs in communities, and I think the programming that was actually, it was pretty much like, come up with some programming. Do you remember when we did this, and we were like, well, how do we do it? What do we do? And it's so crazy that an opportunity like that even existed.
Yep. So in addition to STJSP, which is still there, you're referencing the gun violence prevention dollars.
Yes.
So when she took office, I of course was in the county, so were you. So I wasn't working for OCFS, but we were so excited to receive the opportunity.
We did amazing
for that
things
funding.
with that.
We
Yes.
absolutely did.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say that the work continues. This year's budget, the governor continues to
Awesome.
invest in all types of violence prevention.
It's realistic.
Gun violence, subway violence, domestic violence,
Well, that's something that we might have to come
violence
back on.
prevention, all of that
Yeah,
she
that's-
continues to invest in heavily, yes.
It's so important. Some of my things are, and Melissa, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to
No.
but I have a million things that I could talk to Damien for hours, and I know we can't. You mentioned mental health. You mentioned domestic violence, um, human trafficking, human sex trafficking. These are all topics that are very, very important to me. I will be doing a walk here in Kingston for domestic violence and human trafficking in general.
Wow.
Domestic violence affects not just the partner that's being affected, but the children. And to me, I think that gets missed so much. So I want to make sure I'm going to actually pretty much. I met with the mayor recently, who's amazing. Shout out to Steve Noble. You're amazing. I went in and talked to him about doing this, just a walk to bring awareness, because awareness is very, very key. And then we're going to actually go to a park near here. That is under your forte as well. Wow. How do you sleep?
No, of course not. I said, do you
This
have
is
a
crazy.
filter for me? Because I'm sure my bags are showing. I
This
really
is
did not sleep.
oh,
What's a
you look
typical day
beautiful.
for you? What time do you start and what time do you end?
Oh my goodness. I
Too
mean,
hard to tell.
I really can't enumerate that.
I remember those
because,
days.
you know, but let me also preface this by saying I was never really a sleeper.
Not
I'm
Me
either.
truly
neither.
an insomniac. But I do know that I need to have like rest because my brain doesn't stop going. I'm always
It's so
thinking
healthy.
about what I can do this moment or the next day. I have to pause and not send emails. I have to schedule them to go out because at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I'm
That's how I
like
am.
drafting emails, right? So it is not healthy, by the way.
No.
Listen, we need self-care. And I
Well,
always say I'm a work in progress.
But
Yes.
you have to admit, 3 to 4 hours, you're good. If you
Yeah,
get 3 to 4 hours, you're good.
I actually am. I hope that can be sustained. I'm, not getting any younger. But yeah, my typical day, I would say, starts around, for work, around 6:30, 7 a.m., reviewing my emails and things like that.
And here we are,
then late
12
at
hours
night-
later.
Yeah, oh yeah. And last night my night ended. I had to speak at an event. I was speaking up, we were there until actually 9 o'clock.
See what I'm saying? This is crazy.
And then I couldn't really sleep. And then, of course, I have to mother from the phone because I'm on the road a lot. And I have 3 children. And
Life
so I
be
have
lifing.
to. Absolutely.
Life be life. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is, I feel like we could go on and on and on and on. I want to give you the opportunity to touch on anything that you want to actually contribute, because I'm not going to continue to add to your day because I have a couple things that I need to do before we wrap up. But what else can take this as an opportunity for you to touch on some things that I might have missed, Melissa might have missed with questions?
Can I ask you one last
Sure,
question?
of course.
Sorry. What do you want women watching this to take from your journey, from your whole? What would you like them to?
Good question,
Yeah,
Melissa.
I love when I'm invited to speak at women empowerment events and programs. As a matter of fact, I spoke 2 days ago on behalf of the governor to a all-women organization, and
Oh, you gotta
I like
pull
to
me
talk
up
to
there.
them. I most
Oh my-
certainly will.
It's hard. It's very
It's
hard.
hard. It is so many, and it's usually back to back. But what I try to encourage women to do is just really to kind of focus on their successes and try to avoid that imposter syndrome, because it is so real. So many women doubt themselves, doubt those superpowers we talked about, their natural instincts. And I have to remind myself all the time, I said it before, that my steps were ordered. And I know
love
that God
that.
has placed me where I'm supposed to be
That's right.
at this moment in time.
That's
and
right.
so I have to share that with people, to say, you are where you are supposed to be right now. We don't know where you will be tomorrow, but rest assured that if you do the work, you will be where you're supposed to be. And so to empower young women as well, the
Yes.
confidence, and to, walk with their head up high and understand that we all fall down to get back up. And I know it's very cliche. The last thing I'll say is, even as it relates to the young ladies that are incarcerated, or the young women that we actually have in custody in some of our juvenile justice facilities, I really enjoy talking to them to explain, listen, we all have made mistakes.
Yep.
And we all deserve second and third chances. But we also must be accountable, not just to ourselves, but to our communities, right? So I'm very much community centered and oriented, always have been. And I try to impart that on young people.
That's
I try to
crazy.
impart that on adults, because sometimes
Yeah.
we get so caught up with our own lives that we forget about the community, and we have these frayed communities that need us, whatever we can contribute, right? You may not have the resources, the money, but you might have an expertise in something. You may have just be an inspiration. You may have this big personality, right? That can
Or be
brighten up
compassionate
someone's
with,
day, or
right,
compassion. You have something,
to contribute.
and we don't have to have this frayed fabric we call community.
Mm-hmm.
It can instead be this beautiful mosaic of different threads, different colors, different shapes.
That
right?
is so
And
amazing that you're thinking.
yeah,
You know, so you didn't actually you've risen, but you didn't forget. And I said that in the beginning of our conversation, and I have to say it again. I love, love, love that you didn't forget. I want to piggyback on something that you said. You talked about mistakes, people that have made mistakes, people that are incarcerated. I just want to say our mistakes don't determine us.
mm-hmm.
Our
That's right.
mistakes don't determine us. Our fears hold us back. So we have to actually, even like as you said, if we fall down, we have to keep moving. You know what I mean? And I would love to see more women supporting women. That's the
Oh,
one
yes.
thing that
Yes.
is
That's what I've always
one of my
wanted.
things. That's
Yes.
Melissa's thing as well.
Yes.
We met on that. That's how we
Yes.
met.
At a women's event. Yes.
Women supporting women
Absolutely.
is powerful. Imagine like this like Governor Hochul and you, perfect example. Like, you know, God blessed her. I'm going to be honest. God blessed her because, and she knew what she was doing, selecting you for this position. Because when she put you in that position, she had a powerhouse. You know what I mean? Imagine a bunch of super women, which I want to talk about my event that's coming up. Imagine a bunch of super women, which I think we all have powers like that, collectively working together.
Oh yeah.
Whether we have money, like that walk to me is going to make women that might be on the sidelines that have experienced domestic violence, human sex trafficking, human trafficking. I want them to know that you are not alone, because domestic violence affects not just the woman or the partner, it affects their children.
Absolutely.
So
Generational harm. I mean, and
we have
if
to,
we don't triage our problems and our challenges
mm,
and actually treat the
mm,
ills that we have,
mm,
whatever you want to call it, you will continue to pass along that generational baggage, that generational pain. And as women, when we come together and we're open and honest about, some of the things we've experienced, some of the ways we've gotten out of those experiences, and how we are standing together to help one another.
right.
Until we do that, we're going to continue to just be met with all kinds of challenges. One thing I wanted to also add was the administration, fortunately, under the governor, has a number of powerhouse women. I mean,
Awesome.
really, really super smart and in tune with the community. But
Nice.
I will also say that there's so many women organizations I belong to that work very hard. We're on the line late at night, making sure that we are creating and curating opportunities for the communities, whether it's the health fairs or the voter registrations and things like that. Of course, I want to shout out my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha
Do
Sorority
that.
Incorporated.
That's
But we are really on the front lines doing this work. And also our elected officials. I mean, there's some really rock star, badass women that are in government that are
Yes,
really
there
working
are.
very hard. And so in combination, when you look at the work our elected officials are doing, and it's not just women, by the way,
No.
like I'm proud to be a New Yorker, because when I think about everything that's going on in the world and in this country,
it scares me.
it's scary to think, if I didn't live in New York, what would life be like for me,
Right.
for my family? I have a very diverse family, and so what would that look like?
Right.
But in New York State, where you have a governor fighting really hard to push back on these infringements on our constitutional rights, the overreach of government.
Inclusivity.
Oh my gosh, but like people are actually dying in the nation.
It's
right?
so. I feel
So
like
the
we
pushback
regress.
is.
You know,
I mean, I just
that's a whole nother.
going back to the basics of like the Constitution and upholding our constitutional rights. If we don't have the right people in place, we could see that all dissipate, and so we just need to keep supporting
better be
them as
listening.
well. The grassroots, you can't count them out. The folks on the ground, you
Advocates.
can never count them out.
Advocacy to me is such a very, very important role, and there are so many advocates. Half the women at this event that I'm having are advocates, whether they realize it or not. They're doing things just by standing up for their injustices. You know what I mean? It's very, very important to me that women try to support other women more, because I think we're missing
Building
something.
empires together.
I think
not
I
tearing
think
each
we're
other
missing
down.
something.
No.
Yes.
Listen, when we walked in, we're congratulating each other on how beautiful we are, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you must have started having children at 10. You look so young. Nina, you still look the same.
Oh my God.
Beautiful
No, I
and
don't.
gorgeous.
No, I don't.
Please.
No,
But
I
I
don't.
mean, it's nothing wrong with complimenting, right? And teaching our girls
In various
to
ways.
do the same, right?
That's right.
It's not just also about our physical appearance, it's about our intelligence, it's about
Right.
our
Yes.
kindness, our empathy, our resilience, our resolve to get things done. We just need to be very deliberate about how we are messaging to the world what and who women are, because when we don't, we're just categorized as like catty and messy and non-supportive and things like that, and we know that that's not true. However,
Sometimes.
some women
Sometimes.
do need to put all of that aside, their insecurities to the side. I say this all the
agree.
time. I can't control what you're thinking. I can't control your own insecurities. I can only show up as my authentic self. And the hope is that you will see that I am genuine when
You
I
are.
say I care for you.
Yep.
I have no reason not to. But a lot of people walk through life in a shell, as a shell. And that hard exterior is really hard to penetrate. So I thank you for even bringing that up, because it's time. It's time we put the BS aside.
Yeah, women
Thank
have
you.
to be
Yeah.
more
I've been saying
collective.
that for a long time.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
I went to an event last weekend, the mayor's ball in Poughkeepsie, and
Oh,
you and I
nice.
spoke about that a little bit. It was amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I was so proud of her, and it was just,
It's lovely.
yeah.
I was there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the mayor of Poughkeepsie, right?
Yep.
Yes, very
Yvonne
very
Flowers,
nice.
shout out
Flowers.
to you.
Yes.
Coming at ya.
Yes.
Coming at ya.
Awesome. Lots of dynamic. By the way, there's so many fantastic female mayors. Like, of course, I'm going to shout out
Are there?
Sean Patterson Howard, Dr. Dorsey Aplears.
See,
Like, in
there's the advantage that
Albany.
you have.
There's female mayors that are just, Yadira Ramos.
I wanna know
I
them.
mean, I'm just naming a couple
I love it.
that their energy, they're inspirational. They're just amazing women. And so
And they're amazing people. Like I like our mayor Steve Noble. I'm grateful, that he actually has an open mind. I go in his office like a crazy woman, give him I know you don't have time. I don't have time either. And I give him, this is what I want to do, and he's like, okay, all right, like, and I'm grateful to that. And he looks 10. He looks 10 years old. Everybody teases him about it. He looks so young, but he's a very, very intelligent man. I'm grateful that for good people in political positions, period. I don't care who you are, what you are. I'm just grateful for that. And I don't want to take up any more of your time. We could talk for 3 more hours. I know it.
sure could.
Yeah, I could
Sure
ask you
could.
101 questions, but I'll put my questions away.
I have to do a couple shout outs that are very, very important. First of all, Dr. Damia Harris Madden, you have to come back and visit us,
Of
because
course.
the governor is on the move, and you're on the move, and you are responsible for so much. Mental health, I would love to talk more about. I would love to talk about anything that I can do to support what you do. Anytime you have something that you wanted the Hudson Valley to know about, come be on Nina's Bag podcast. I want to support you because you're doing the work. You're boots on the ground. I love it. Love it. Love it.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much for this opportunity. We really appreciate it. And I know we went kind of like political a little bit,
That's all
but
right. Well,
I think we talked
full
about a whole
circle.
lot of things, and it is
Yeah.
full circle, and it's
Full
really good to
circle.
be in the presence of two dynamic women, a gifted author here,
She
and
is.
I'm really proud to have
Thank
met
Share your
you.
book,
and
Melissa,
really
while we're out.
appreciate you.
I want to try to promote her as much
Yes.
because she's like the
I'm
quiet
gonna
storm.
get the book.
She wants to be in the background a lot and
'Cause
put that over this way so people can see it. Every
I
opportunity. I want to definitely.
I just love supporting
No.
other women, and
Yeah, there you go.
I just do. I like listening. I just like
Yes.
listening and asking 101 questions. That's what I like doing.
They're good questions
Good
too.
questions. That's how we learn.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a couple really quick shout outs. I have a friend. I refer to her as Redhead. But her Vicky Costello, who is an amazing woman. I used to, when I was younger, I thought she was just an absolutely amazing woman. They're having an event where I'm just going to read what they gave me. Celebrate the special woman in your life. Join us, our Mother's Day Boutique pop-up, hosted by Grace and Style Boutique Shop. Beautiful finds just in time for Mother's Day on clothes, shoes, pocketbooks, jewelry, candles. This is Saturday, May 2nd, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Sunday, May 3rd, immediately after worship, and that's at Point of Praise Church, which is an amazing organization. Very, very good church.
This is
Come.
May 2nd.
This is May 2nd and May 3rd, so Saturday and Sunday. 10 a.m. on Saturday and right after church on Sunday. That's one thing. And I could not be Nina's Bag podcast personnel if I didn't point this thing out. She is actually on this. She's one of our speakers. So this is a Superwoman event. This is our pivot event that's coming up May 19th. It's at Ulster Savings Bank, which is an amazingly supportive bank in our community. We're actually going to give these 8 women the opportunity to tell their story. We all have stories. This is 5 o'clock, Ulster Savings Bank on Schwank Drive in Kingston, New York. Come hear their stories. You're going to be amazed by these powerful women. And there are tons more, but we actually had to put what we could in from 5 to 8 on May 19th. So please stop up, Schwank Drive, Ulster Savings Bank. Super women, and the purpose of this is these women are going to tell their story because they're continuing their destiny despite life's injustices, and we all have them. We all go through them. And I want to thank your assistant for being so patient and like helping. You're adorable, and I don't lie to people. That's one of my downfalls. Yeah, thank you for your patience. Zaya, Isaiah is my engineer, and we're gonna do a session. In 2 weeks, Zaya is gonna be one of the guests on the sessions. He's gonna be on this side on not the 7th, the following Thursday. Zaya is gonna be. We're gonna do something for doing stuff. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, Dr. Damia. I'm so
Thank
glad
you
that
for
you came.
having
I'm so
me.
glad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
nice meeting you.
Nina's
So
Bag.
nice meeting you.
Advocate,
Honestly,
educate,
you
elevate.
have the heart, passion.
We rise. Thank
Just
you,
like-
Zaya.
You're very authentic.
you.
You can tell.